Okay, tip one. If you don't use your glue very often, and when you do use it, I mean, people that use this all the time, you don't have to worry about this. But you just take the top off, open up the nozzle, rinse it out, and get it really, really clean. After you use the glue, rinse it out. Good day, I picked up this garden hoe. It has a stainless steel end on it. The handle though, now I believe it's in repairable or restorable shape. There's a few points of concern cracking up here, but I don't know. I think it's worthwhile to try to get this thing repaired so it's going to last a lot longer. And this is an example of a hoe that's been stored outdoors all year round, out in the rain, out in the snow. You should keep things in a dry location, protected from the elements. And I'm not going to use a whole bunch of fancy fillers, and because there's lots of ways to do this, okay, I understand that, but this is just how I'm doing, just with what I have on hand around here. I don't want to go out and buy, you know, a whole bunch of expensive fillers, but yeah, you can get expensive hose and cheap hose, but I think this is probably a medium hoe, so I think it's worth looking at. So let's just do some initial light sanding. Don't press too hard. I am using 80 grit on this sanding machine here, so I'm going to be a little bit gentle, not pressing too hard. Let's just do an initial sanding and get it cleaned up, and then we can move on. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I have this, it's just like standard wood type glue. It's non-toxic. You can get it on your hands, it's not going to hurt anything, it'll wash off easy. So normally I'd wear gloves, but you know, living dangerously today with my hoe. So you got to bear with me, got to trust me on this. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go around this whole handle, especially where the crevices are here. And I'm going to put glue on there, but I'm going to put a lot of glue on this whole handle, and I'm going to force it into all the cracks. Then we're going to give it a really brief dry. It's super hot out today, like it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit here right now, so in the shade. So it's going to dry pretty quick, and especially if I put it in the sun. But let's just go through this. I'll show you what I'm doing. If the glue comes out, that is. Doesn't come out fast, just take the lid off. I'll show you a tip on this glue in a second here. This glue is really old too, so it's probably not the best. As I say, I'm just using stuff I have laying around for years that I haven't used and it needs to be used. That could explain a lot. The glue is thick as molasses up here, which is fine. That'll work to our benefit. No big deal. Whoa, there we go. Maybe it was just that top. Like, look at it, your glue should not be that thick, but you know what, for this is gonna work out fine. I'm living dangerously here, because you know, rubbing this hoe could give you some slivers or injuries. Should maybe use some rubber gloves, might offer some protection from the hoe. But yeah, I really want to work the glue into these cracks. So I'm really forcing this glue into these spots here. And I know this looks like it's a mess, but and we're just going to let this briefly dry. As I said, if you don't have the heat and the temperature, you're probably going to have to wait a long time. In my case, this is going to be dry. I don't know. I'm going to give it like maybe 10-20 minutes. Okay, so it's been probably 15 minutes and it's dry. It's still a little bit wet in some of the creases or cracks, which is good because with a little bit of dampness in there when you sand it, it's going to force some of the sawdust to go into that crack and and give it a little bit of a fill also, so that's why I'm doing this. But anyways, let's get this sanded again. Okay, a couple of these big cracks. I'm just going to follow up just with force it right into the crack here. Hopefully you can see that. You don't want a lot now. This is in fact, you want the outside dry. And those big cracks anyway, give it a little final fill. A little tiny bit here. Alright, that's looking good. Probably hard to see on the camera, but there's just a couple little spots here. Okay, I'm just gonna let this dry for it. Okay, I just waited about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Again, depends on the temperature, but there's still a little bit of dampness in these bigger cracks, so we're gonna give it a really quick sand. Okay, so it's looking good, and now I need to let it dry good, probably like at least half an hour. Okay, I believe this will possibly be the final sanding. Just a tip, if you have one of these circular sanders, usually they have these little holes. See the holes here? Make sure those line up on the pad underneath, because what that does is it sucks out the dust and removes it from the area that you're sanding. So that's kind of important. A lot of people don't know that, and it also helps keep the sander cool because there's airflow. There's it's like almost like a fan effect under there. So anyways, let's get on with the final sanding here, which I think it's the final sanding. So give me a sec. Okay, let's move to the next step here. Okay, I'm going to do an initial coat. Now, this is a combination like a Varathane, and it's oil-based and it has some coloring in it. It's not straight, I guess some people call it shellac, maybe. But yeah, it's like a combo thing, and it's not a glossy, it's just under that level. I'm not sure what that's called, semi-gloss, I guess. But let's get this thing open, and I have mixed it up. It says don't shake to mix, but I mean I shook it up a couple hours ago, so I mean that's fine. It's probably all about not getting bubbles in it. So I'm just gonna put on a really thin coat here. I'll start up here. Actually, it looks pretty clear. There's not really a lot of color to it. But yeah, So let's get a really thin, you just want a really thin coat on here. So it has a light, very light coat. Now, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do. Normally you do this with stain, but since this is more like a varnish, might not be the best idea, but I want to wipe this so that it dries really quickly, and then we'll go with another coat. Okay, so we have a super thin layer on there. And we're just gonna let that dry for a little while. Normally it says like let it dry for like 2 hours, I believe, but again, we're dealing with some pretty high temperatures outdoors here, so it all depends on temperature and humidity. But yeah, I think it's already looking really good, eh? So I found a little bit of this spray paint. That's all it had. I mean, it's pink, but I don't have a problem with putting pink paint on a garden hoe. Now, I started a little bit here. I wanted to do this before I did the second coat on the handle. It just makes things faster. Yeah, hard to explain, but let's get this painted up. I think pink is nice. I mean, I'm good with my manhood. I'm not too upset about it. Plus, you know, who knows who will be using this hoe, and a lot of people like pink. So let's get that done up. Oh, that's so nice. Look at that, looking good. Get this put away, and then we'll give this handle another coat, and we'll call that finished. So let's get this final coat on. Okay, so I have everything nicely coated here, and I'm not going to wipe this off, but what I am going to do, probably won't be able to see in the whole video, I'm going to lift this up on its end here. And then I'm just going to keep going over this until I make sure everything's smoothed out, because there's droplets here because I put it on really thick. That was on purpose. But now we just go back and just make sure that all the droplets, any excess, you know, you weight that off. This hoe probably can be hoeing for another 10 years, I bet. As long as they don't leave it laying out in the snow or out in the sun and the rain and the etc. So it's looking good. I'm really happy here. Those cracks, they're all filled in. I know it seemed ridiculous at the start of the video what I was doing, and there's different ways to approach that, but that's how it is. Woo! That's not good for the paint job. And then what I'll do next year, and it will take like 2 seconds, and you should do this with a lot of your garden tools if they have wood handles. Take a few seconds and give them a coat of some sort of a Varathane or something, just to protect them. But yeah, this looks good. I'm really happy with the results here. It's starting to get dark here. There's a big storm coming up, apparently. So that's why I was rushed, and I painted things kind of willy-nilly, like the top there with the pink. I just wanted to get everything done here before I have to close up everything and, go hunker down, because there's all kinds of weather warnings right now. So, but here we go. Looks good. Put this lid on here. So, let's take a look.